Can a mantis shrimp really break aquarium glass? To find the answer to this question, I had to travel far and wide into the other room in my house to test this theory. And the results were shocking. This is my Peacock Mantis Shrimp kaiju, and this is his friend Dom. He's a domino damsel. But before we test if a mantis shrimp can break glass, we need to understand some things about mantis shrimps in general. There are over 450 types of mantis shrimps, but they all fall into one of two categories: the smashers and the spearers. Simply put, the spearers developed appendages to be used like spears to pierce soft body prey. They'll dig and hide in a hole with just their head sticking out and ambush fish swimming by. They also hold some of the larger species of mantis shrimps, with the biggest being the zebra mantis, getting to around a foot long. Definitely something out of my nightmares. While I would much rather get punched by any smasher over a spearing mantis shrimp because they're literally the same thing, but instead of clubs they have knives for hands, they're not necessarily built to break things the same way that the smashers are. Smashing mantis shrimps develop club appendages built to destroy. They'll break crab shells, hermit crab shells, clams, shrimp. These hands are rated E for everyone for sure. But how hard can they really punch? Due to tons of testing, research, hard work, and dedication, I found out that Google says they punch with 1,500 newtons of force and at a speed of 50 miles per hour. And like you, I have basically no idea what that means, so with more testing, research, hard work, and dedication, I found out that Google says the average person punches with anywhere from 250 to 1,000 newtons of force. So not only does a mantis shrimp punch harder than the average human, compared to body weight ratio, a mantis shrimp punches at 1,200 times the force as well. That equates to a person now hitting as hard as 100,000 newtons of force, which is like a small car hitting someone at 30 miles an hour. So let's all be grateful that God created mantis shrimps to be the size that they are. But the other impressive part about their punch that you may have missed is the speed that they release it. They can punch at 50 miles an hour underwater. They can move water out of the way so fast that it creates a cavitation bubble, where inside that bubble it gets to as hot as the surface of the sun. But for a really short time and on such a small scale, nothing gets burned. When this cavitation bubble collapses, it creates a second impact on whatever it is hitting. It creates almost a secondary hit, making its one strike basically two. Like whatever it was hitting really needed more. Another thing that happens when the cavitation bubble collapses is it actually creates a flash of light in a process called sonoluminescence. Bear with me, I'm trying my best. But again, it's very fast and on such a small scale that we can't see it with the naked eye. Now, there's a lot of confusing information online if a mantis shrimp punches with the force of a bullet or not. But from my testing, research, hard work, and dedication, I found out that Google says they punch with the same or faster acceleration. So not with the same power and not with the same velocity either. So how are we going to test today if a mantis shrimp can break his tank? I have my mantis shrimp in an acrylic tank for the sole reason of me being scared of him breaking a glass tank. He's not able to break acrylic because it's more flexible and resistant to cracking. So my plan is I'm going to take this test tube and bother him with it until he decides to punch it. Put your predictions in the comments now if you think he can break it or not. And if you guys want to know how to own a mantis shrimp, consider purchasing my course in the description below, where I break down all the information you need to owning a mantis shrimp, as well as access to my free Discord server to help with any further questions. Let's do this. 3, 2, 1... Oh, that was so easy. So clearly it's true, a mantis shrimp can break a certain thickness of glass. If you put one in a glass tank, make sure it's going to be thicker than this. But now I know what you're all thinking. This glass was pretty thin and doesn't really prove too much. The glass I use probably isn't much more durable than a crab shell, if it even is at all. But the tricky thing is getting the mantis to punch things at full strength, because he doesn't all the time and it's difficult to make him. Have you ever tried getting a mantis shrimp to do what you want him to do? It's an uphill battle. But the time that the mantis actually punches something the hardest isn't even usually his prey like you may think. And it's also not warding off predators. If a predator, like let's say a big eel, comes by and is sniffing around his hole, he'll actually punch him really fast and not very hard at all, because he wants to give him a warning flick and get out of there. Pretty much like a hit and run. That's why when he punches me, it just feels like a hard flick. He's not using his full power and he's trying to ward me off and get away. The time that he punches something the hardest is pretty unsuspecting. It's actually when he's expanding his home. He'll punch rocks rocks and rubble to expand his burrow, and these construction punches are when it's the hardest. Here's an old clip of my Mantis Shrimp Kaizen punching his PVC pipe attempting to expand it, which would literally never work, but he was determined anyway. In moments before this video, I actually woke up to him doing it because he was in my room, and when I confronted him about it, he looked at me like I was the problem and then continued punching it anyway, of course. This is what it's like living with a mantis shrimp. But getting back to the original point, yes, they punch the hardest when expanding their homes. They literally punch rocks for fun. And them expanding their homes is actually exactly why mantis shrimps are known to breaking tanks. Because when you put a mantis shrimp inside of a glass tank with thin, low quality glass, they will dig down attempting to expand their homes and smack the bottom of the tank as hard as they can. So what some people do, and something I would recommend for extra enforcement, especially on a thin glass tank, is at the bottom of the tank under the sand putting a flat sheetrock to protect it. My very first Peacock Mantis Shrimp Kai, who was the one who started all of this, by the way, RIP, an absolute legend, was in an Aquarium 20-gallon long and would wake me up in a panic attack every morning thinking it was about to shatter, and was my direct inspiration for ordering my custom acrylic tank that I've put all of my mantis shrimps in from then on. So how are mantis shrimps able to punch so many rocks and things and not injure themselves? All the mantis shrimps I've ever owned have even punched my metal tongs at some point in their life, and they haven't gotten injured from that at all. One of them even had a relationship with a metal straw. It was a whole thing. If you know, you know. The short answer is that they're kind of built different, but really it's the way that their club is naturally structured, mitigating a lot of the shock waves so they don't feel a lot of the blowback. In fact, their club structure is so good at mitigating the shock waves that the military has studied their clubs in an attempt to improve their Kevlar or bulletproof vests. Lieutenant Kaiju at your service. So let's do a recap. Can a mantis shrimp break glass? Absolutely. He can't break bulletproof glass, like not even close, but he can break a certain thickness of glass. What a monster of a mantis shrimp it would have to be to break bulletproof glass. If you get one and you want to put him in a glass tank, just make sure that the tank build quality is good and you should be fine. And if you're still nervous, put that sheetrock at the bottom underneath the sand. Can a mantis shrimp break acrylic? Nope. Acrylic is too flexible and absorbs his hits very well, causing him not to be able to break it. The safest route is putting a mantis shrimp in an acrylic tank and you'll never have to worry about him breaking it. There are some other things to consider deciding between an acrylic and glass tank, but they're not for this video. Can a mantis shrimp break a glass aquarium? 100% he can, but like we discussed, it all depends. When does he punch the hardest? It's not when hunting food, and it's also not when defending himself from predators. It's when he's doing his construction hits trying to expand his home, hitting rocks, rubble, and debris. When is he most likely to break his tank? When attempting to expand his burrow, digging down to the bottom of the tank and hitting it as hard as he can. These are all the general facts you need to know about a mantis shrimp and its punches. Let me know if you want me to do more videos on other facts about mantis shrimp. There are plenty to go over, like them having the most complex eyes in the entire animal kingdom. But before you go, let me leave you with this. Do you guys think I built this entire acrylic tank to keep kaiju in? Or could it be for someone else? Also, let me know if you want me to do some facts on his buddy Dom. That could be a fun one. But of course, don't forget to follow for more scrimps and Dom.